nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we're here to talk about some big news in the NFL, definitely going to affect the Ravens one way or another, and the AFC and NFL at large. We're going to talk about LeVeon Bell going to the Kansas City Chiefs. But before we get into this and how it will affect the league, how it will impact the Ravens, let's take a quick second and make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're interested in interacting more with us throughout the season and the off season, check out our Patreon. We allow our patrons to ask us questions and interact with us in a myriad of ways. So go ahead and look at the options. We'd love to talk to you guys more. So Le'Veon Bell, Glenn, gets cut from the Jets. Never has a 20-plus yard carry with the Jets. I don't know if you blame that on Le'Veon or on the Jets. I think it's probably a combination of both. But I do lay more at the Jets' feet. Gets picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday, who are already loaded, who already took it back in the first round. How are you feeling about this today?
Well, I wasn't thrilled to see it, although I'm not shocked either. I think when the news broke and Le'Veon gave his list of teams, it was to me, it was an easy decision. I mean, his list originally was the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Bills. I mean, I guess the Bills they're obviously competitive and they're competing, but to me, the choice was pretty clear if I'm Le'Veon Bell where I'm going, and that's the clear-cut best offense in the league, in my opinion. I mean, I guess the Packers have been pretty amazing too. But yeah, I'm not thrilled as a Ravens fan to see him go to the Chiefs. I mean, I'm not thinking that they're getting the Le'Veon Bell of 2015. I'm not crazy. I understand that this isn't the Steelers' Le'Veon Bell, but he's still a good running back. He's now extremely motivated. So, as you mentioned, he hasn't been good with the Jets. He's been there for 2 years. He, of course, missed 2018 for a contract dispute, but he has not been good since he's been a Jet. He averaged 3.2 yards per carry in 2019 on 245 carries. So it's not a small sample size. Now, he did add 66 catches. We know he's an incredible receiving threat out of the backfield, but only averaged 7 yards a catch. So, not the Le'Veon Bell that we were used to seeing in Pittsburgh as a Ravens fan. But I guess the question is, why does Kansas City acquire a guy like this other than depth? Like when they just drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's only averaging 4.2 a carry, but that's still much better than what Lev Bell is averaging over in New York. So Jimmy, why did you think the Chiefs wanted Le'Veon?
Yeah, I think that recently, if I'm not mistaken, Edwards-Helaire has been having some issues in the red zone, just punching it in. So that could be a concern, even though I don't know their weights, but I'm pretty sure they're probably about the same weight. Edwards-Helaire is a fire hydrant. I mean, that dude might not be tall, but he's over 200 pounds. So I don't know how much of that you can blame on him, but Le'Veon's patient run style could, bode well for them in the red zone, which we're well familiar with. But I think the other thing that people are talking about too, you brought up the catches. Andy Reid, you don't put anything past him. They could literally just throw him at slot. Right? Like you have Edwards-Helaire in the backfield, put him as slot receiver, and then you got a litany of other receivers out there that are insanely fast. You throw Le'Veon out there just because, right? Like just because you can.
Yeah.
But I want to make something really clear right now for Ravens Nation, all right? You guys, don't worry. I ain't worried. Don't worry. Look, we got beat by Kansas City this year. We've gotten beat by Kansas City 3 years in a row. Or 3 times in a row. 3 years in a row. Yeah. I don't care. Because when it comes down to it, I want them to bring it all. I want them to bring their best. And I want to beat them and shut them up once and for all. Them, all their fans, all the people on TV that do nothing but ride Patrick Mahomes. I cannot wait for Louis Riddick to stop saying Patrick Mahomes and start saying Lamar Jackson. I cannot wait. And it will happen. What is the term? Mark my words. All right.
Mock my words. Yes.
You'll probably mock them too. That's okay. I don't care. I sound like a delusional Ravens fan, and I could well be. But yeah. I believe we have what it takes if we can stick to the courage of our conviction. So I say, bring it all. I want it all. Lev Bell, And all you ring chasers, bring it onto the bank. Hopefully we play him in the bank this year in the playoffs, and I think we take down Goliath.
Wow. Well,
It's just look. Anyway, go ahead.
no, I mean, I'm a little more concerned, obviously, than you are. That last game for the Ravens was a beatdown. They were beat in every area. They were outcoached, outplayed. It was rough to see. So I don't think that. I think the only way this hurts the Chiefs is if Le'Veon Bell is so arrogant or so overly confident that he is bitter about the lack of work he gets when he does get to Kansas City. Of course, we don't know what the work is, but we assume that he'll at least be in a committee, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they still have some other running backs there as well. Let's see who gets the most. It looks like Darrell Williams gets the most work other than Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now. So I'm sure he's going to be, yeah, he's going to be in a committee. But yeah, the only way I could see it going poorly is if he's just unhappy with his workload and he starts making a scene. But I just don't see that happen. I look at the Chiefs as they're going to be the Patriots going forward, as in they're going to get those veterans that sign for the vet minimum to try and go win a championship. That's what they're going to get. I mean, they're going to get a lot of guys that are ring chasing towards the later part of their career. So I don't think this is the first signing we're going to see like this in this Chiefs Mahomes era. But yeah, I'm curious to see how much it moves the needle, because I know that they're having issues now at the offensive line. Kelechi Osemele's having some issues. So you mentioned how much is the Jets team around him the reason Le'Veon Bell's numbers have dipped. Well, we know that they're going to have an excellent quarterback. We know that they're going to have crazy weapons down the field, so that'll help Lev Bell. What we don't know is the status of the offensive line and how that's going to be affected by injuries. But do you anticipate him returning to somewhat a form of old, or like, what do you think they're getting? What Lev Bell are they getting right now?
Yeah, that's interesting, because while I'm not worried, I'm also more confident that he'll bounce back than it sounds like you are. I do think that he's in great shape. I think he needs something to care about. I think he needs something to play for. And maybe that's in his career in general. Like, he just doesn't care that much anymore. Maybe he never did. I don't know. But I think we will get close to not what we had. The thing in Pittsburgh was that they had an incredible offensive line. I mean, it wasn't just Le'Veon Bell. Their offensive line was remember those
quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. That unit that they had in front of Ben and Le'Veon was a heck of a unit. So I think that we'll get something closer and better, closer to the old Le'Veon and better than what we saw for the Jets. But the other thing I want to mention as well is, sunshine doesn't last forever. I think that something's got to happen with Kansas. I don't know. Maybe I'm a person that's a hater. Maybe I just don't like dynasties. I don't know. But I do think that the sunshine doesn't last forever. Something's got to happen. I think if the daggone Raiders can beat them, well, heck, we got a shot. And there's the other thing I want to mention too. You talked about the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs will be a team. This is what my point was getting to. It will be a team that picks up guys, the vet minimum, stuff like that. I think that we will also be that team. I think that if we didn't have a loaded backfield, I think he would have preferred to come to Baltimore than to Kansas City, because of our style of play and because we get to play the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 times a year. But he knew, who's he going to, we weren't even entertaining that thought, contrary to what some other people on YouTube decided to talk about. There's no way that we were signing Le'Veon Bell. How does that even make sense? Right? I think that he would have preferred to come here based on our style and the fact that he gets to stick it to the Steelers 2 times a year. I don't know. So you seem to be concerned that it could widen the gap or the disparity between them and us and the rest of us in the AFC.
Yeah. I don't think it definitely doesn't. Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt when you add a guy like Lev Bell, and especially if you're telling me that they're going to get even a portion of or a shadow of what he used to be. That's
right.
That's kind of scary. He's a really good player, and the one thing I look at is right now Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a receiver isn't lighting the world on fire. He's got a 63% catch percentage, and then Darrell Williams, the other running back, has just a 54% catch percentage out of the backfield, which that those catch percentages should be much higher as a running back. That's an extension of your run game. When you do these short passes to the running back, a lot of teams use these short passes as an extension of their run game, whether it be screens or flares out of the backfield. It's in some way they're getting the ball and it's a short throw to their running back, and it's a high percentage throw. So the fact that they're catching at a low percentage isn't good. And I look at Le'Veon Bell, and even in this horrible Jets offense this season, he has a 100% catch percentage. Now it's only a few targets, but even last season, almost 85% catch percentage on 78 targets. So he would be an obvious improvement in the passing game day one. I mean, unless he all of a sudden forgets how to catch the ball and run routes, which I don't think that's going to happen. He at least benefits them in the passing game. You mentioned that he'll benefit in the red zone as well, where Clyde Edwards is having some struggles. So, yeah, I mean, if you're telling me that he's going to look like old Lev Bell, and we know he can catch the ball still, so that's a little scary. I mean, especially they already put a beat down on the Ravens, but you're right in the sense that the Raiders beating them obviously gave a lot of people some pause and thinking, wow, these guys, they aren't Superman. They can be beaten. They are just as vulnerable as any other team. Well, maybe not just as vulnerable, but they're vulnerable on Sundays as well as any other team any given Sunday. So, but let me ask you this: should the Ravens and other AFC teams look to make a corresponding move to maybe even out the balance a little bit here?
Right. That's a great question. I think that, and I'm going to answer that question and tie up my argument here because it's funny the way that I realized I stated it. It doesn't make much sense. But I think that we've needed to make a move already, not depending on the fact that they picked up Le'Veon Bell. I think that we need to do as much as we can to continue to improve our, whether it be our offensive line, whether it be our wide receiver core, whether it be our pass rush. I think those things are the same as they were pre-Le'Veon Bell going to Kansas City. So based on that move alone, I would say not any more than beforehand. And that goes into my theory behind my argument. The reason we lost to Kansas City and the reason we've lost every game that we've lost since Lamar's been on this team has nothing to do with the other team. I don't think we've ever gone out there and played our game the best we can and just lost. Because when you do that, you got to live with the results. You got outplayed, you got beat, you played your best game, and you just lost. That is, to me, that has never happened. And so if we can be the Ravens, I don't care who Kansas City puts on the field, but if we can actually play our game and execute, I feel like I put money on us if we're going to beat us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's more about our roster. Like Draymond Green talked about that a couple of years ago. It's never about the other team. We know that if we go out there and play our best game, we're going to win. It's not even about who's on the court, right? Like, I kind of take that mentality.
But let me ask you this: do you these are still people under these helmets, and I know you know that. At what point you mentioned they lost 3 games in a row. Lamar's never beaten the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. At what point does it start to get in their heads? You said that that Draymond, when the Warriors were in their run, said if we play our game, we can't be beaten. Do you think that every Raven truly believes that? Do you think that they are as confident as you are in the fact that if they play their game, they can beat the Chiefs? Or do you think, man, they're kind of going, dang, man, they already whooped us. Now they just added Lev Bell. Do you think that there is, even if it's a small number of players that are doubting the fact that even if they play their best, they can beat the Chiefs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I guess my answer to you would be the only people that I need to feel that way, to me, 3 people that need to be 100% convinced that we can beat them if we play our game. 2 of them aren't even players. 1, of course, is Lamar Jackson. 2 is John Harbaugh, who I'm convinced believes that. But 3 is G. Rowe. I mean, Greg Roman has to be convinced that if we play our game, not Kansas City game, if we come up there, not trying to be the best Swiss, but trying to be the best Jamaicans, referring to the Cool Runnings, like that's how we're gonna win, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's got to happen. So those are only 3 people to me that need to be convinced. The other guys can waver. We'll bring them along, right? But
I need Wink. I see what you're saying. I need Wink to change it up a little bit too, because I noticed one thing they pointed out against the Chiefs that Pat Mahomes has been struggling seeing the zone, and what the Raiders did is they manned up on Kelsey, and then they zoned everyone else. They played zone everywhere else along the field. So we like to play man in Baltimore, and we like to come after you, but that might not be the best strategy against the Chiefs, as we saw in the previous game.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Where are you at though? Really quickly here. Where are you at as far as my thought that it's more about our locker room and our guys than it is about the changes that the other teams make. Now, of course, if Kansas City goes out and does something ridiculous and
trades for Julio,
comes in with the Monstars, yeah, exactly. I mean, we might be, up a creek without a paddle, but based on the fact that it's not to say it's just Lev Bell, but it at this point it's Le'Veon Bell. We don't no other moves are imminent. Do you agree with me there, or do you disagree with me there?
Well, I'm a little more nervous than you are, only because I think before Lev Bell I was nervous. So if you're telling me even if you're getting a shell of what he used to be, I'm still more nervous than I was before the move, and I was pretty nervous then. So I just worry that it's getting in the heads of the players. I saw certain players really not perform up to their level. Mark Andrews dropped a bunch of important balls. Lamar did not play well. You mentioned Greg Roman did not call a very good game. Wink got out call. He lost the chess match against old Andy Reid big time. So I'm nervous. Do I think they can win? Of course, I think they can win. And I agree with you. I think they have to stick to their game plan and do, what makes them best, which is run the ball and use that run game to set up the pass. But I am definitely nervous. I just think there's so much pressure. It's not going to be like any other game. It doesn't matter what they do against any other team now. That is the one team. That's the only team that matters. Just like in the beginning before the season started, this whole regular season doesn't matter much in the sense that it's not going to alleviate any worries. It's not going to change anybody's minds on their perception of this team. The regular season doesn't matter. It matters only in the playoffs. And we know that unfortunately the playoffs are you're going to have to beat the Chiefs, it looks like, to get through the AFC. So I'm nervous. I still think that obviously we can win, but I'm nervous because the results have not been well.
Well, bring it on, baby.
That's right. I like your confidence. I need it.
That's awesome. Well, you guys let us know what you think. What kind of impact will Le'Veon Bell have on the AFC, the Ravens, Kansas City, prospective matchup if all things go as planned, and the NFL as a whole? What kind of Le'Veon are they getting? Let us know your thoughts. Also, we want to know if you agree with us here, based on the fact that myself, and then I think Glenn to a certain extent, maybe me a little more than Glenn, but is it more about our roster than it is to be concerned about the other teams, or how are you feeling about that? Give us your overall thoughts on the video. Love to interact with you guys. Make sure you leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and we will talk to you guys soon.
See you.